While wrestlers like Rob Van Dam are often credited with creating an entirely new exciting style of wrestling, there are also those who innovated wrestling in other ways. Maybe the best example of this is Chris Kanyon, who created a plethora of cool-looking moves or put a twist on already existing moves, making them even more exciting. Prior to joining WCW, which proved to be the turning point of his career, Chris Kanyon competed in multiple independent wrestling promotions and even worked as a jobber for WWE. It was his friend and future manager, James Mitchell, who recognized his talent and arranged for him to train under the Fabulous Moolah in South Carolina and at the Wild Samoan Wrestling School. Following a brief stint as an enhancement talent, Chris Kanyon teamed up with Mark Starr to form a tag team named Men at Work and played the roles of construction workers. Needless to say, the team failed to make a substantial impact. In 1996, Kanyon was repackaged as Mortis, a character inspired by the video game Mortal Kombat, donning a skull mask and managed by James Vandenberg, also known as James Mitchell. He engaged in a rivalry with Glacier alongside his tag team partner Wrath and continued to compete alongside Wrath until 1998. During this period, wrestling commentator Mike Tenay, known for his encyclopedic knowledge of wrestling, gave the nickname Innovator of Offense to Kanyon. This nickname was fitting as Kanyon consistently amazed audiences and left commentators at a loss for words with his new innovative moves.
He is the innovator of offense, let's not forget it. Wow! Well, I don't know what you call it. I don't know either.
In this book, Chris Kanyon revealed that he and ECW's Nova, who may be featured in a future episode, would frequently watch tapes of Japanese wrestling to discover moves that were not yet popular in the West. Since Kanyon and Nova worked for different wrestling promotions with distinct fan bases, they were able to exchange ideas without interfering with each other's careers. Nova was introducing new moves to Western audiences in ECW, while Kanyon was doing the same in WCW. In a few cases, Nova was the first to perform a specific new move to US audiences, even before Kanyon. It's worth noting that Nova was also given the nickname Innovator of Offense by ECW commentator Joey Styles. Kanyon formed a stable called the Jersey Triad with Bam Bam Bigelow and Diamond Dallas Page after teaming with Raven. Together, they won the WCW Tag Team Championship twice. Kanyon had a brief feud with his former partners later that year before being taken off television. In 2000, Kanyon made a comeback to team up with DDP once again for several months, but he eventually turned on Page and joined Eric Bischoff's New Blood faction. He primarily feuded with DDP until WWE purchased WCW in 2001. During this feud, Kanyon extensively used the Kanyon Cutter, a variation of DDP's Diamond Cutter, which became one of his signature moves. In addition to the Kanyon Cutter, he also used the Flatliner as a finisher, which initially was a second rope Samoan drop but later changed to a reverse STO. Kanyon became a part of the Alliance faction in WWE's Invasion storyline in 2001. During his stint, he achieved success by winning the WWE Tag Team Championship and WCW United States Championship. However, he gradually went down the ranks and eventually ended up wrestling on lower-tier shows. His career then was also interrupted by an injury that forced him to take a break. Except for a few dark matches and an APA segment, Kanyon resurfaced on a 2003 episode of SmackDown in a strange segment that left us baffled. He emerged from a crate dressed as Boy George and singing, only to receive a vicious beating, including a sickening chair shot to the head from The Undertaker. Despite additional appearances on SmackDown, B-shows, and house shows, Kanyon was ultimately let go by WWE. While our primary focus is on the wrestling innovations of the wrestlers we feature in this series, we have to address the story behind the segment and Kanyon's personal life. Chris Kanyon lived a double life as a closeted gay man, which was only known by James Mitchell until Kanyon was released from WWE. He later claimed that he pitched the idea to WWE of coming out as the first openly gay wrestler, but it was turned down. Kanyon believed that the Boy George segment was a warning from WWE, preventing him from coming out publicly as gay. In a 2006 interview with Howard Stern, John Cena stated that Kanyon never disclosed his sexual orientation to anyone in WWE, and that he was released because he simply wasn't good enough.
Here's the weird thing about Chris, and I've known Chris for a long time. Okay. He actually came out of the closet after he was fired.
Right.
He wasn't any good.
This statement was somewhat absurd, considering Kanyon's impressive track record. It is especially ironic coming from Cena, who was heavily criticized at the time for having a limited and dull moveset. Kanyon appeared on The Howard Stern Show multiple times, including after the John Cena interview. On that episode, Ric Flair, who Kanyon idolized, called in and agreed with Cena's comments about Kanyon. It was a heartbreaking moment to witness Kanyon's reaction, as anyone can relate to the feeling of being told by their lifelong idol that they're not good enough. Chris Kanyon struggled with his sexual identity throughout his life, and also suffered from bipolar disorder. His mental health appeared to decline in the years following his departure from WWE. Tragically, Kanyon passed away in 2010 at the age of 40 with an empty bottle of antidepressants discovered near his body. For those interested in learning about Kanyon's personal life and the challenges he faced as a gay wrestler during a time when homosexuality was not as accepted in the industry, the Dark Side of the Ring episode about him is worth watching. Openly gay AEW wrestler Anthony Bowens shared his thoughts on the documentary, saying, "Finally got around to watching this, and it broke my heart. I used to hide in Barnes & Noble and read Kanyon's book because I didn't want anyone to see me reading a book about a gay wrestler. I felt his same fear. I wish he was alive to show him how far we've come and how much he was loved." Despite not reaching the absolute pinnacle in pro wrestling, Chris Kanyon has made a lasting impression on the younger generation of wrestlers. During his time in indie promotions after WWE, Kanyon met and befriended the Young Bucks Brian Cage and Luke Hawx. All of them credited Kanyon for his guidance and innovation in the ring. According to Matt Jackson, Kanyon was their hero, and Brian Cage even pays tribute to him with his catchphrase, "Who better than Cage?" as a nod to Kanyon's famous catchphrase, "Who better than Kanyon?" Dolph Ziggler has cited Chris Kanyon as one of the wrestlers he admired when he was starting out in the industry. Ziggler specifically praised Kanyon's use of the Innovator of Offense nickname and his signature move, the Kanyon Cutter. Johnny Gargano has also expressed how Chris Kanyon has influenced him. In an interview with WWE.com, Gargano revealed that Kanyon was one of his favorite wrestlers during his childhood, and he respected Kanyon's talent to innovate and create new moves. Chris Kanyon was a visionary in the wrestling world, pushing boundaries and creating groundbreaking moves that still influence the industry today. His innovations and moves were ahead of their time, making him a perfect fit for the modern generation of wrestlers who he helped to shape. Kanyon's legacy is one of innovation, creativity, and passion for the sport. He will always be remembered as one of wrestling's greatest innovators. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel to get more wrestling videos.